Folks, this is what I have been predicting. The Gygax Memorial Fund is launching a Kickstarter on October 1st. I've been notified by multiple people who have donated in the past. God bless you all. In any case, the Gygax Memorial Fund has announced via email that the Kickstarter you see on screen will be launching October 1st. Now, mind you, I am at ShireCon the next couple of days. I return on Sunday. Sunday or Monday, I will have a deep dive on the Gygax Memorial Fund. Let me start by saying this much. Do your own due diligence. There are websites you can go to check the usage of their monies. Go to ProPublica.org. ProPublica.org tracks nonprofits. It has the tax returns, which, by the way, have not been posted on the Gygax Memorial Fund site for the last couple of years. I don't know why that is. One could surmise perhaps that's because the fund, which was at over $200,000, is currently underwater by about just under 10,000, 9,000 and change. So, what do we got here? Well, this is a picture of the drawing or the watercolors or whatever, the pencil drawing of the proposed memorial in Lake Geneva. By the way, I will include a link to this Kickstarter so you can read this yourself. I am not telling anybody what to do with their money. I am suggesting, like with any Kickstarter, you do your due diligence, right? If somebody is saying, give me money, and I promise you'll get something in return, or in this case, you'll get a memorial, okay. But look at their track record yourself. I will link the ProPublica website here. I will actually link right to their tax returns. Do your own diligence. So, the story. Well, the story is all about Dungeons and Dragons, right? Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. Multiple paragraphs about it. Let's get to... All right, that's 5 paragraphs about D&D. 6 paragraphs about D&D. All right, here we get to Gary. Gary Gygax believes in the power of games to transcend age, gender, ethnicity, culture, language, religion, and class. Even as a child, that power drew him to games like chess, cribbage, mahjong, and others. But all those games were based on competition. In a millennia of game design, 1,000 years of human history, few had broken this paradigm of us versus them, victory or defeat. The purpose of games were to win, and losing meant failure. Gary actually was it was a game designer of war games. One side or the other one. However, you would often have a neutral party that would arbitrate, the judge. And it's all right. The site, the memorial. Folks, if you haven't been following this for the last 10 years, I was still working when I started looking at the Gygax Memorial Fund. Um, they're looking to raise a basic amount of $1,500 to create and install the stone and foundational elements of the monument. The stone table. By the way, Alexa, off. Something I said must have kicked off Alexa. I don't know what it was. But in any case, they want to raise minimum $150,000. Now, should our product be funded, we should be able to get the above elements created, installed, and in place by Dragon Days in 2026. By the way, Dragon Days is kicking off shortly for 2025. It is a celebration of Gary Gygax in Lake Geneva. Now, I've been predicting, as have others, that this would have to kick off around Dragon Days. Why? Well, Dragon Days is a time of increased awareness of Gary Gygax and his works. It's also within the time frame of when the 2024 taxes will likely be shared on ProPublica because November 15th, those taxes are due. They'll be, I'm sure, shared shortly thereafterwards on ProPublica. If you waited until then, if the fund is already negative and judging by prior track history, by their prior funding, it will likely be in greater negative numbers where it is now. I don't know if it would have gone up in funding, but the fund has not been getting any sizable donations. Again, I will link the site. Do your research. That's all I can ask of you. Your money is to be spent as you see fit, but do it informed. So, first stretch goal, if they hit 250, there'll be a bronze D&D themed Dungeon Master's Throne created. Okay? If they hit 500,000, the second stretch goal, there'll be a bronze statue of Gary Gygax seated upon that throne. The third stretch goal, should we meet the previous stretch goal? Our third stretch goal is to have a bronze treasure chest and guardian dragon wrapped around the base of the Dungeon Master's throne. To achieve this goal, we need 700,000. The fourth stretch goal would be a 4x8-foot bronze map of Gary's first dungeon level, created and installed on top of the stone table. To achieve this, we need 925,000. Now, this gets interesting because I have not seen this prior on a Kickstarter. I actually had to do a little quick research beforehand, and it is apparently viable. Your charitable contribution may, notice that word, may be tax deductible. While a portion of your donation is delivered to Kickstarter as a fee for their services, the remainder of your donations are deductible as charitable contributions. See, now we're from May to R. Note that. As charitable contributions to the Gygax Memorial Fund, a 501c3 organization. As such, each donor will receive a thank you email indicating a portion of their charitable donation that went to our nonprofit entity, the Gygax Memorial Fund. By the way, there is no mention of any rewards. So you'll be, and listen, some Kickstarters take your money and they don't give you anything in the first place. They're not promising you anything here, except for a memorial. Now, I would say that if I was somebody who was back in this project, when it goes live in the comments section, you may want to inquire, where did the prior roughly $225,000 go to be spent? Right? Because according to this, they need $150,000 to put the base memorial. Where were the prior money spent? I'm going to guess they were spent designing the memorial, but that should be disclosed, right? If you're asking for monies, that would probably be a good question to answer. Just throwing it out there. So, October 1st, I will give you a deep dive on the fund, the monies, where I can track, what's going to. Are there any potential issues with conflicts? But that will have to wait to after ShireCon. But I wanted to make sure you were in the know. Folks that are listeners to my channel, the people that view this, may be interested in donating and supporting this project. I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying if you're going to do so, make sure that you have all the information that you need to make a proper decision that's in your best interest. Folks, on that note, I will try to get some videos up while I'm at ChatterCon. No guarantees, but other than that, like, subscribe, comment. Tell me the questions that you would like to see answered. I'm not saying I have those answers, but what questions do you have for the Gygax Memorial Fund? Leave them in the comments below. If I have the answers to such, I will include them in a follow-up video when I get back. That, again, will be Sunday, Monday. So right before this launches on the 1st, which would be next Wednesday, I think. Oh, my gosh. All right, folks. Catch you later. God bless, and be good.